The entire world hates Donald Trump, and they are very publicly and very loudly letting him know. And that is exactly what we just saw in a clip that has gone mega viral because it is an entire arena of people telling Donald Trump exactly how they feel about him. We have seen protests across this country, protests across Europe, protests in Greenland, but this might be my favorite clip yet because it just is infuriating Donald Trump. And we're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, like I said, the entire world is turning against Donald Trump. And before we get into that arena pushing back against him, I want to start with a prime minister pushing back against him. And that was Mark Carney, who gave Donald Trump the military news he has been dreading from Canada as it relates to Greenland in this clip right here.
I'd like to know what Canada is doing to protect the integrity of Greenland. And related, China fashions itself a near Arctic power and with some claims to Arctic resources. So I wonder if you could answer that question, what we're doing to help protect Greenland's integrity, and how do you feel about China's claims, such as they are, to Arctic resources?
Several aspects of that. The first, with respect to Greenland, the future of Greenland is a decision for Greenland and for the Kingdom of Denmark. We are NATO partners with Denmark, and so our full partnership stands. Our obligations on Article 5, Article 2 of NATO stand, and we stand full square behind those.
World leaders understand how stupid Donald Trump is, and that is why they are preparing. But Mark Carney especially understands how weak Donald Trump is, how insecure Donald Trump is. I think there are few people who have dealt with Trump better than Mark Carney has. He does not cede ground to him. He does not capitulate. Mark Carney looks at Donald Trump in his big dumb eyes and shuts him down. And that is what we see right here. He is not bending. He is not breaking. He is demonstrating strength. And that is something that Donald Trump responds to, which is why it is so important for NATO to display their show of force, that these countries are bound together and Donald Trump cannot unbind that. He cannot break in this alliance. It's just not going to happen, okay? No matter how stupid he tries to behave, because
the only person who can make a decision this dumb is someone that would actually let a casino go under. And guess who's president right now?
You've called President Trump an idiot for his push to take control of Greenland, and you've said that Congress can't take any chances of allowing that to happen. You've met with the foreign ministers of both Denmark and Greenland this past week. How are they reacting to President Trump's threats?
Look, they're shocked, and they're trying to find reason within what's happening here. And I try to explain to them there is no reasoning. Right? The president just wants to have a legacy piece where he gets to claim that he brought in this big chunk of land that he sees on the map, even though it's, distorted map. And he's willing to ruin our whole foreign policy, all of our alliances, our economy, just so he could get what he wants. This man is doing everything for himself and nothing for us. Even the idea of buying it. We're going to spend billions and billions of dollars, potentially $500 billion, which is never going to happen. But right now we can't even afford health insurance for U.S. citizens, and we're talking about buying land. And let me just say one more time. Denmark, the Kingdom of Denmark and Greenland has said, we will give you everything you want, short of giving you possession of our land. You want more bases, you get more bases. You want to put more people, you get it. The idea that we're going to waste money for everything we want is the dumbest decision we can make. The only person who can make a decision this dumb is someone that would actually let a casino go under. And guess who's president right now?
So we know world leaders are pushing back against Donald Trump. We know members of Congress in both parties now are pushing back against Donald Trump. But what really gets him are those viral moments. Donald Trump hates to see a crowd of people that hates him. And he's been getting nonstop images of that from the United States every single day of his presidency in a historic fashion, if we're talking no kings, but they've also been coming out from around the world. And Donald Trump would so desperately like to be popular. It is the thing that eludes him. Much like his buddy Elon Musk, Donald Trump just wants the approval that he never got from mommy or daddy, and why it is driving him so crazy that he continues to see these protests. But at an NBA game in London, during the national anthem, our national anthem, because this game was being played over there, the national anthem is still being played, the entire arena decided they would let Donald Trump know how they feel about his attempt to go into Greenland. We don't know if military action is coming, but they are making it very clear in this video that has gone so viral. During the U.S. national anthem before an NBA game in London, a person in the crowd yelled, "Leave Greenland alone," and the British crowd cheered loudly. Let's listen.
Leave Greenland alone!
And of course, as the world pushed back, like we saw in that clip, we are seeing more meltdowns from Donald Trump, like the post he made the other day saying that we've subsidized Denmark for so long, along with other European countries, and it's time for them to give back, I guess, in the form of Greenland. an entire crowd of people cheering on the fight back, booing Donald Trump, making their voices quite literally heard around the world. And we are going to see more of these images. We are going to see more of these videos, and it infuriates Donald Trump because it, again, does the thing that he is so desperate to avoid right now, which is showing his weakness. There is a reason that Donald Trump wants to deflect from conversation about his health, both cognitive and physical, because he knows it is the physical manifestation of his political weakness, of his lame duckedness coming true, that Donald Trump might lose his majority in the House of Representatives before we even get to these midterms, whether it be through natural causes or resignations or something else. The possibility of a Republican caucusing with the Democrats continues to increase every single day. I know these people are spineless and have no courage, but at some point they have to understand that this is the only way to put him in check. Now, do I believe that's going to happen rather than maybe some resignations taking away Mike Johnson's gavel, or maybe another Republican passes away? It wouldn't be surprising. There's some pretty old cats there in Congress, and already a couple of them have dropped off this year. Not to speak too indelicately, but come on, these are people who are happy to see 50,000 Americans at least who are going to die because of the cuts that they have made to our health care. To do what? To pay for ICE and to potentially buy Greenland. That is what Donald Trump has done. He has said, I will see 50,000 plus Americans die because I need to free up some cash for a tax cut for Elon Musk, Larry Ellison, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and to buy Greenland. He is trading American lives for this stupid little legacy project that he thinks will be, quite frankly, it'll be so fantastic. And now I'm getting my mic all upset because the Trump voice is so awful that it doesn't want to hear it. So if there's any static going on in the mic, it's because, quite frankly, it's a terrible voice and nobody wants to hear it. But that is what Donald Trump is doing right now. He is quite literally selling you out in exchange for his legacy, which is selling us out. That is his legacy, being a con man. And Republicans, according to Rand Paul, aren't going to stand for it.
Senator Paul, do you think there would be enough Republicans to pass the legislation that Senator Kaine talks about on tariffs and potentially a second war powers resolution?
On the war powers or on militarily invading Greenland, I've heard of no Republican support for that, even though most hawkish members of our caucus have said they won't support that.
If we looked at this just purely politically, and I know there's a lot more baked in, Donald Trump blowing up NATO would be one of the great stains on an already stained 2 terms as the worst president that we've already had. So I'm not going to say it's the worst thing that he'd ever do. I don't know, but it's up there if he did, if he was the reason that NATO blew up. But purely politically, it would be so stupid. And that's why it's very plausible, because Donald Trump is so stupid. But it would be so stupid for Donald Trump to give Republicans another opportunity to rebuke him. Like, that is what he is setting up right now. In the past couple of months, we have seen both Donald Trump and Mike Johnson completely lose all of their power when it comes to governing, which is a thing that they were never particularly interested in from the start. They have no power. Right, when there are constant discharge petitions going forward and bringing votes that Mike Johnson didn't want to the floor of the House, when they have to pull votes from the floor because they don't know if they have the numbers, because no one is like whipping votes, I guess, at this point. Tom Emmer doesn't know how to do his job. Then, yeah, it looks pretty feckless and weak for Mike Johnson and for Donald Trump, who is his puppet master. So to set up another opportunity for Republicans to rebuke him, to say no, a la the Epstein files, it would be really embarrassing for Donald Trump. It would show his political weakness in this moment. It is also showing the disconnect between Donald Trump and his own majorities in both houses of Congress. So if you're a voter going into these midterms and you elected Donald Trump, let's say you're an independent who voted for Trump and Republicans, how can you expect anything to change when Donald Trump, with a majority in Congress, is being rebuked by that own majority in Congress, can't get anything done? When he does its giant tax cuts and it's kicking you off of your health care, why would you give him more Republicans that he still can't work with? He can't work with a majority. Why would you want to continue to allow that? And then that's kind of what Donald Trump is setting up to be proved out if he goes forward. And it's not just that, it's not just losses on votes, but it's also Republicans threatening that they may impeach him. Don Bacon, this clip right here, called it what would be the end of Donald Trump's term.
Threaten countries who oppose his strange talk on Greenland is also absurd. And I think a lot of the stuff about invading Greenland, he says, I believe it's really being done for negotiating effect, but he says it almost every day. So I feel like people like me and others, we got to speak up and say it's wrong. You don't threaten a NATO ally. They've been a great ally. We've had bases on there since World War II. Denmark has fought with us by our side in Iraq and Afghanistan. So I feel like it's incumbent on folks like me to speak up and say that these threats and bullying of an ally are wrong. And just on the weird chance that he's serious about invading Greenland, I want to let him know it would probably be the end of his presidency.
But a massive political miscalculation is what Donald Trump is staring down. The America First guy, and no one better have bought that bullshit ever or continue to, is dead set focused on doing things that make him feel good. Building a ballroom, buying land with your money for himself. The oil that you paid for to be seized from Venezuela, that isn't going to make gas prices lower. It doesn't do anything for you or I. Donald Trump is selling that oil right now to put in a Qatari bank account that only he controls. Why? So they can spend it to buy his crypto coin? That is the Donald Trump presidency, and that is the continuation of the Trump idealism with a possible purchase or invasion of Greenland. It is dumb, and I don't know how many different ways I can say that, but it is, and we are going to continue to call it out on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. Sorry for the the voice today. We had a night out last night, and that's okay, but we're going to keep on fighting. Until next time, I'll see you soon.